Back in the 1990s, one of the hottest running backs in the NFL was Barry Sanders. Unfortunately, he played for the Detroit Lions, a team that has pretty much been terrible. But Sanders, he was amazing. Defensive players just couldn't seem to stop him unless they double or triple teamed him. In fact, in one game, Sanders was accused of putting some slippery substance on his uniform, and the referees had to check him out before the second half. Nothing was found on his uniform, of course. He was just that good. Barry Sanders was also a follower of Jesus. He was vocal, but not weird, and definitely not showy or pushy with his faith. He was just humble. On Christmas Eve, 1989, the Lions were playing the Atlanta Falcons for the last game of the regular season. Neither team had a chance of making the playoffs, and less than 8,000 fans even showed up to watch the game. At the end of the game, the Lions had the lead, and the coach found out that Sanders was only 10 yards away from leading the league in rushing yards. One 10-yard play, and he could win the title, the rushing title for the season. So the coach brought it to Sanders' attention and asked him if he wanted to go in and get his 10 yards. Sanders responded with a one-liner that he had heard his coach use 100 times. "Coach, let's just win it and go home." Later, when he was asked about not getting the record, he said this: "When everyone is out for statistics, individual fulfillment, that's when trouble starts. I don't ever want to fall victim to that." Wow. Well, there's another Barry Sanders story that his coach remembers, and it directly applies to what we're learning here. The coach had a Bible on his desk, and Sanders would often drop in the coach's office just to talk. One October afternoon, Sanders pointed at the Bible on his desk and said, "Coach, you haven't been reading this." His coach asked him how he was so sure, and pointing at the bookmark, Sanders said, "Because this hasn't moved since August." In the first few lessons, I talked a lot about how to approach Bible reading, including what to expect and what not to expect. I hope you've really heard me when I say that I don't want you to see Bible reading as a box to check on some spiritual to-do list. While it might get you reading your Bible more often, the guilt factor is just not life-giving. So in this lesson, I want to offer another mental image of what is happening every time you read your Bible. And if every time you pick up your Bible to read, you will create this picture in your mind, then your Bible reading will result in hydrating your soul. So the book of Psalms is the longest book in the Bible. It contains about 150 chapters, but they're really 150 poems. Poems about life, about God. They're written to God. Many of them were put to music in ancient worship services used for songs and prayers. In fact, even our modern worship songs today contain phrases or entire sections from the Psalms. Well, the 63rd Psalm, it was written when King David, David and Goliath, one of his most difficult times came when his oldest son rebelled against him and tried to crown himself king and overthrow his father. Well, David was not about to attack and kill his own son, even though his throne was threatened, so he fled to the desert. And in the desert, fleeing and hiding from his own son, he wrote Psalm 63. Here are the opening lines. "You, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you." In these opening lines, he gets personal. God is not just some force out there. "You are my God," he says. Almost as if he has a personal relationship with God? Yes, because he did. Look at how he speaks to God as he continues. "I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water." So he's in the desert, literally thirsting and looking for water, and in a moment of authenticity, he prays, talks to God, and he says that while he's thirsty for water, what he's really thirsty for is God. More than he wants the physical hydration, He wants to be spiritually hydrated. In this moment of high stress, with lots of fear and anxiety, he's thirsty for God. Let me give you a hint of where we're going with this. Reading your Bible is about way more than comprehending words on a page or even the ideas expressed by those words. Reading your Bible is about hearing from God, being taught by God Himself. It's about spending time with God. So much more than what you're reading is who is speaking to you through what you're reading. So David goes on in Psalm 63, and he describes his fond memories of worshiping God at the temple, similar to what we might experience in a church service. I have seen you in the sanctuary and beheld your power and glory. Because your love is better than life, my lips will glorify you. I will praise you as long as I live, and in your name I will lift up my hands. I will be fully satisfied as with the richest of foods. With singing lips my mouth will praise you. I can easily imagine the church service. And there's David on the front row. His hands are raised, his eyes are closed, and he is singing out praises to God as the band leads the congregation. And again here, he uses a food metaphor. And he claims that just like the best foods satisfy his hunger and fill his belly, so he is fully satisfied, and his deepest needs are met as he worships God. But then, his mind shifts away from a church service. He knows that he also connects with God when he's all by himself at home. Here are verses 6 through 8. On my bed, I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night. Because you are my help, I sing in the shadow of your wings. I cling to you. Your right hand upholds me. Even when David is lying in bed and he can't fall asleep, he thinks about God. And he knows that God not only helps him, but God is with him. Did you notice that last part? He clings to God. And he imagines God's right hand upholding him. And he holds on to God with his hand. And he sees God holding on to him. Again, he doesn't believe that God is out there somewhere too busy running the universe to be bothered by little old me. No, he believes that God is close and showing care. When you and I open our Bibles and we carve out some time to read, we're not just reading history, poems, or life instructions. We are spending time with God Himself. And as we give Him our undivided attention, He speaks to us. And He doesn't need to speak audibly because He speaks to us through these ancient words that He inspired godly men to write down thousands of years ago. And when we imagine ourselves sitting there in the presence of God, listening to God, those ancient words, they become just what we need to hear. So a few months ago, I was busy one afternoon doing some work in our upstairs office. The kids were in their rooms, and my wife Erica, she was sitting on the couch in the living room. I was getting ready to leave for a meeting, and normally I would have gone back upstairs, finished a few things, and then rushed out the door to my meeting. But that day, when I saw Erica on the couch, I realized that we had not spent much time together that day, and I would probably get home late. So I walked over, I sat on the couch, and I talked with her until I had to leave. Now, I wish I could tell you that this is a regular practice for me. Unfortunately, I tend to be very task-focused, and I often miss opportunities to simply sit on the couch and enjoy uninterrupted time with my wife. But on that day, I sat down on the couch next to Erica and enjoyed a few minutes of time before jumping back into whatever was on the schedule. When you open your Bible, you also are putting yourself on the couch next to God, giving Him a great opportunity to teach you, to encourage you, and to speak to you. Now, how's that for a mental image of what it means to read your Bible? Couch time with God. Well, now let me push that one step further and bring together everything we have learned about habits. When you choose a time that you will stop, sit on the couch next to God with your Bible open, you are making an appointment with God. And I have found that when I make an appointment with God, God always keeps the appointment. He never no-shows. And when I make and I keep my appointment with God a few times every week, I hear from God Himself and I stay spiritually hydrated. By the time we get to the last lesson in this course, I hope you will have discovered when are the best times for you to schedule appointments to meet with God. They can be any time of the day, but I have found that it works best to schedule those appointments in advance. If nothing else, for my own sake. If I wait until I get a free moment, the free moment never happens. But if I schedule it and I block it off, it's much more likely to happen. And when I show up to that appointment with God, to enjoy time on the couch with God, He always shows up. That's why it's so important to read your Bible. You get to meet with and hear from the God of the universe. After the last lesson, you listed a few times that might be best for you to spend time with God. Well, today, I want you to schedule 3 appointments with God in the next 7 days. Write them down in your workbook and then put them on your personal calendar. For today's Hydrate Challenge, you're going to hydrate in 1 Peter chapter 5. But before diving into the reading, here's what I want you to do. Imagine God showing up to your appointment. Sit quietly in your chair or on the floor or literally on your couch. And as you open your Bible, imagine God Himself walking into the room and sitting next to you. Tell Him that you're ready to listen to whatever He might want to say. If you'll start with this image in mind, it will revolutionize your experience of reading your Bible.